KPEL News Time is 7:40. This is Wingin It Wednesday. We now jump into our second topic here, the prisoner swap with Iran. Carol clearly liking our bumper music.
I do.
So the prisoner swap with Iran, the Obama administration, in return for imprisoned Americans, agreed to release 7 Iran nationals who GOP presidential candidate Ted Cruz says are terrorists who were either jailed in the U.S. or facing charges. That's according to U.S. and Iranian officials. The U.S. also agreed to drop the names of 14 Iranian nationals it has been seeking from the watch list of Interpol, the international police agency. I want to get your thoughts on this prisoner swap. Let's first go to Warren Caudle.
First thing, that I don't have any idea about the background on these guys that were turned loose from here or whatever. I know that everybody that we arrest or whatever, anything that's related internationally, the first thing that comes out is they were terrorists. They were terrorists. And, they're doing harm. They're there to do harm to the United States of America. Well, if that's the case, that probably half of Washington is on the terrorist watch list.
They should be.
I do think it's a good thing that we are relaxing relations. I think we get along a lot better when we're trying to be friends with people than we're trying to be enemies with them. When this deal came up about the little Navy craft that got strayed into Iranian waters, and somebody even used the term that those people were prisoners of war. I said, my God, do you know what that means? Prisoner of war means you're at war with somebody. We're not at war with anybody. We didn't declare war on anybody. And that, that the people in the United States of America, especially in government, still has no earthly idea what the Islamic Revolution in Iran was all about. And that, Putin said the other day that we're sitting there, the United States is sitting there funding these mercenaries in Iraq and Syria and these other places. And he said very honestly, mercenaries fight for whoever pays them the most. They owe no allegiance to the United States, to Russia, to Syria, anywhere else. That whoever pays them the most money, they'll switch sides in an instant. And that's what's happened. And there was another guy who was a former cabinet member and a great friend of the United States, a former cabinet member in Iraq, was on a panel discussion the other day, and he said, the West has got to understand that you've gone out there and you have funded, you have armed, and you have organized these Wahhabis, who are a small sect of Muslims, and you have just created a monster that you now have to live with. And that my point is that, we need to just throttle back all this rhetoric, and that and try to do something better. That people tell me who've been to Iran, tell me that you go over there, the people in Iran love Americans, and said that it's just a far cry from what you see on the news and what you hear from all the politicians and all of that stuff. And I'm going to go back and say it one more time. When we trade with each other, when we try to get along with each other, we find out that really and truly the world is a lot different than what we were told. And I think one of the biggest shocks that I ever got was when I first went to the former Soviet Union and got out there and really started looking around and seeing some things and meeting some people and having some frank discussions with people, and saw that it was just 180 degrees different than what we had been told over and over. And that was on both sides. And it's the same thing that I read a book one time about the Islamic Revolution. And you talk to Iranians, they'll tell you about the reason that Ayatollah Khomeini was so popular. Is when he went over there and came off that 747 among all those cheering crowds, he went and moved into a mud hut and did his government affairs from a little old bed in a mud hut instead of moving into a big palatial palace and all of this, that, and other. That means that.
And then he started cracking down on civil rights, and their whole attitude changed. He cracked down on civil rights,
but my God, what did the Shah crack down on?
Let's not romanticize him too much.
They all did. I mean,
Warren.
we can't sit there.
He was not a nice man. And he was no friend of ours.
As that guy said,
I knew the Ayatollah, and he was no friend of ours.
Lord. It's gotten weird in here.
We're between the devil and the deep blue sea, so we victimize everybody. And, I'm just saying it's time to just throttle back. It's time to throttle back and say, well, thank you.
Well, I'd like that too.
We're glad that our Christians are back over here, which I'm going to also say this. Christians never had it too bad in Iran.
All right, Carol.
Until when? Until the Ayatollah took over, and then they started cracking down on everybody. Warren, come on.
I
really.
am coming on, and there's also...
I've read Nazir Afisi, Reading Lolita in Tehran, Persepolis. See some of these things from the people who actually had to get out of there because of the crackdown on freedoms over there, and the people that I would not romanticize the Ayatollahs. They are at war with us. They are the largest state sponsor of terrorism, and that's pretty much agreed by everybody in the world.
Except me.
And except you. So you're the outlier. But, I mean, the timing of this whole thing was interesting. And really, this was funny. The funny thing happened on the way to the swap that wasn't. 6 of those 7 guys didn't even get on the plane to go to Geneva. They don't want to go back to Iran. Most of them are Iranian-born but American citizens who violated the sanctions. That's really why they got caught. They run technology companies, etc. Most of them are in their 60s. I think a couple are in their 70s. Most of them, several of them live in Houston, and their biggest, the reason they were classified as terrorists is they were selling technology to Iran, which, people do every day, but anyway, they got picked up, and they've been held, and they were useful in this swap, because I'm glad the Christians are home, I'm glad for their families and all that, but this really does set a bad precedent, the way the whole thing was done. And, the fact that they don't want to go back to Iran, oh my gosh, I mean, what does that tell you? They want to stay here. The plane took off without them. But the timing is always interesting with the Obama gang. Of course, they did it on the day that we released $100 billion for Iran to play with, and of course, it just diverted attention from the swap.
Release?
It was their money that they didn't deserve to have because of all the stuff that they've pulled. Iran got everything it wanted and more. We just finally got those people home. I'm happy for the families, and those were innocent Americans wrongly imprisoned. But now they know what it takes to blackmail the United States, and let's see what happens going forward from here. But I did think it was kind of funny, the swap that didn't happen, actually, because the guys don't want to go back.
All right.
I don't blame them. I wouldn't either.
All right, we'll wrap up this topic. When we come back, ban-the-box policies, did they need to be adopted here in Louisiana? We'll talk with the panel about that here on Wingin' It Wednesday, News Talk 96.5 KPEL. KPEL News Time is 7:53. This is Acadiana's Morning News, Wingin' It Wednesday.
Yes.
Final topic of the day. Ban-the-box policies. Proponents say they're meant to give ex-criminals a better chance of finding stable employment. The policies usually require employers to remove questions about convictions from job applications and ask applicants about their criminal history after evaluating their qualifications. Do you think we should change job applications to get rid of certain questions about background information as it pertains to ex-criminals? Let's go ahead and start off with Carol.
Well, they keep meddling in private business. And Obama, of course, in his usual overreach, decided, okay, it's going to be a law for put out an executive order. It would be for the federal government. They had to ban the box. And if people are, wondering about that, over the years in this litigious society of ours, if you gave any more information, if someone called you about someone who worked for you previously, right, about all you could say to avoid a lawsuit was, yes, they worked here, and would you hire them again? No. That's that kind of thing. But you can't really talk about anything there. And in this case, what if you run a daycare? You're going to want to hire a sexual predator, somebody with. I'm telling you, it's a slippery slope here. You have to know something. What if you run a cash business and you're going to hire somebody who's been convicted of theft? It really is a slippery slope. You've got to have some discretion. Yes, I agree. That should not be the first thing asked, and I think that's pretty much what they're trying to do here. That it should be farther along in the process. But how are you going to guarantee that? You have to take these things on a case-by-case basis. And once again, government overreach is just going to cause more regulations, more problems, more costs to the business owners, when all they want to find out is this going to be a good employee? Can I rely on this person? But, 60%, it is a stunning statistic. Within the first year of release, 60% cannot get jobs. Ex-cons cannot get jobs. So it's really tough. And what you hope is that they'll do similar to what they've done here in Lafayette with increasing the rehab programs while they're in prison, and hopefully give them a skill. And I'll tell you the truth, one of my favorite shows is Pit Bulls and Parolees.
Really?
And Tia Maria Lopez, and she said, the most misunderstood breed of dog and people who can't get a job anywhere else, and she just kind of put them together and it works. So you'd like to see more voluntary programs like that, but for government to keep coming in and overreach and adding more cost to the price of doing business, I don't know.
All right, Warren?
Yeah, it is. It's convoluted and complicated deal. I think that as far as the government getting involved with those kind of things, I do agree with Carol on it. The government needs to keep the nose out as much as possible. However, there used to be, and I'm sure there's still some of them, where you get certain tax breaks for hiring convicted people, felons and those kind of things. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's anything that keeps an employer from running background checks on people for whatever they're worth. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are not worth the money you pay for. Mm-hmm. As far as a sex offender in the daycare, that it's federal law now that all sex offenders have got to maintain a registration with that, and all of that is public information where you can just go on.
And that would seem to subvert this whole idea, right?
Well, it would, except
ban the box.
It's public information. So the box deal doesn't keep you from going to the public venues and finding that stuff out on your own. But, in the end, I think that companies should be allowed to hire whoever they want to. I knew a guy one time that he had a shipyard, and somebody said, I heard you had some people that got fired because they flunked the drug test, and one of them was like his best worker. And he said, yeah, they did. And he said, the problem was, he said, they were taking that stuff that made them work slower. He said if they were taking the stuff that made them work faster, I'd have left them alone.
Oh, Lord. All right.
This seems to me to be like just a feel-good thing, because there's so many sources of information out there. So banning the box, come on.
All right.
What's this really going to do?
1 minute before we have to wrap up, I want to thank y'all for participating. Mike couldn't make it today, but we'll have him back next week. And it's middle of the week, so.
Well, I want to say hang in there, Coach Marlin and the Cajun basketball team. Go Cajuns.
Yeah, how about that? Eli McGuire, the football star for the Cajuns.
Yeah, he's going to play basketball.
For senior year, but playing basketball as well. So wishing him good luck on that.
I didn't read the whole story, but did he play in high school?
Yes,
he played
he
basketball.
Did. Oh, yeah,
he
was an all district guard in high school. So.
See, Brandon is...
For Vanderbilt Catholic.
Brandon is the go-to guy for sports.
He is.
Right.
He's the man.
He's so into it. And he does a great job on those high school games.
Thank you.
Yeah, the team sounds really good. Really good.
Shh, don't get me fired. They're going to pick him over me all the time now. Man! I'm just kidding. I love y'all. Y'all have a great week.
But he doesn't have your pretty blonde hair.
There you go.
This is true, Brandon. You do not have my
beautiful
blonde
hair. That is absolutely true.
It is 7:58.